is usually very meticulous in doing this type of thing. And I'm sure that in conducting their work, they are actually identifying a number of areas which can be plugged, where they can prevent money from flowing out. I do not have the details right now, but Treasury, I know for a fact, is busy at this. From a principled point of view, one can state that it cannot ever be acceptable that South Africans can lose tax money that should be paid legitimately to our government, and it flows out through all these illicit ways of siphoning money out of the country. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Dekhale.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Deputy President, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Minister Rob Davis, recently launched a 100 million Dasots, an all-joy tomato processing plant in Mujajiskloof near Zanin. President Zuma recently announced that the Gibela Rail Transport Consortium has commenced building a 1 billion factory at Danota in Ekurhuleni, and that this was part of the interventions that government is putting in place to make South Africa a more business-friendly destination for investment. My question is, clearly there are signs that more companies are investing in South Africa and that the objectives of the one-stop shop are starting to bear fruit. Are there any plans of ensuring the diversification and equitable distribution of the economic benefits of the one-stop shop to the various provinces, especially rural provinces where the majority of our people reside? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, ma'am. Deputy President.
Honorable Chair, as I indicated earlier, the one-stop shop installation or establishment started bearing fruit through Beijing Auto Works International Company coming to South Africa to invest 11 billion rand. That demonstrated that we had taken the right decision and that together with the business community, we had done the right thing of setting up a one-stop shop through which we had brought together all government agencies that have to do with the setting up of a business or ensuring that investment takes place orderly in our country. So their coming here went to prove once again the attractiveness of South Africa to foreign investors. There are those who've said that foreign investment has dried up. The incoming of BAIC into our shores is clear proof that South Africa remains an attractive investment destination on the African continent. And we continue to attract really good businesses that come to our country. And when it comes to setting up one-stop shops, we found that provinces are standing on the ready to duplicate what has been set up at a national level. KwaZulu-Natal have already gone ahead to set up their own one-stop shop. They've done so to ensure that KZN becomes an attractive hub of foreign investment. And they are mirroring what we have done at national level. And by doing so, in terms of attracting investment, as a great benefit that will flow from this initiative they've embarked upon, they will be ensuring that the people of KZN do benefit from the investments that will be taking place. And remember, as investors come in, they come into our country to help us create jobs, to help us build assets in our country, to help us train our people, and we should welcome them with open arms. Obviously, their coming here is based on the fact that they will obey the laws of our country and all the laws of our country, both transformational and otherwise. As they come in, they know that this is a country that is on a transformation journey, a country that is trying to undo the ravages of the past. And as they come, they don't only create jobs, they are becoming our partners as we make sure that the effects of apartheid become true history in our lives. So we welcome those who want to come and invest in our country, and many of them are standing in line. Many of them want to come to South Africa because we are that type of country that is attractive to investors. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
The last supplement goes to the Honorable Nzimande.
I thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Given the answers that the Deputy President has given, and thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President, for those answers to this question. And particularly taking note of the fact that you make an emphasis and a recurring call on the fact that the government should not be fighting one another. But I wanted to get your view, and by way of also ensuring us and the people of South Africa that the structures and the institutions within government on their own are strong enough to provide checks and balances against individuals that are within those institutions, given the fact that the state is anchored upon the strength of those structures and institutions. I thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Our state rests on very strong, durable pillars that are made up of the institutions that we have set up. And the most important institution we have set up is our Constitution. That is the strongest central pillar upon which South Africa Inc. is anchored. And this Constitution then gives birth and gives rise to a number of other institutions that it has set up, it protects, it defends. So our Constitution is our shield. Our Constitution is our guide in anything that we have to do. So the Constitution really provides the checks and balance that we will ever need in our country, and the various institutions that were given birth to by our Constitution are those checks and balances. We have the executive, we have the judiciary, we have parliament. And those three arms of the state, they are your checks and balances. And through that, we are then able to have a number of other institutions. We can be proud that we are a country that is pivoted on so many institutions that are meant to operate under the aegis of our Constitution and operate well, democratically, with good governance. And those institutions form the brakes and the accelerator to this vehicle that is called South Africa. And with that, I am absolutely certain that this vehicle will never go off the rails, because it is well anchored, it is well structured. We've got institutions that support democracy that have been set up in terms of our Constitution. And we've got a number of other non-governmental institutions. NGOs that we have in our country are also institutions that have an interest in the good working of our democracy, institutions in business, in professional bodies, and all that. So we are well endowed as a country with good institutions. So we've got a very good institutional base that is forever going to make sure that this ship does not sink. This ship called South Africa continues to sail well, properly balanced, properly anchored and properly powered, moving forward all the time. That is who we are, the South Africa of 1994 moving forward. Thank you very much.
Deputy President, the next question is posed by the Honorable Nzimande. It's question number 9.
Honorable Chair, thank you. The recent changes in government in various structures or areas in our country, in our metros, in our municipalities, particularly the metros of Johannesburg, Tshwane, and Nelson Mandela Bay, are not expected to negatively affect the anti-poverty programs of national government. The Constitution enjoins all of us, from whatever political party, to seek to address the plight of the poor to the best of our ability. That is our mandate as leaders of our people, from whichever party we come from. Our Constitution defines a cooperative governance system that promotes collaborative relationships between the 3 spheres of government. Although local government is a sphere of government and not an administrative arm of national or provincial spheres, the law compels all the spheres of government to collaborate in the delivery of services. The 3 spheres of government exist in a unitary South Africa and not in a federal South Africa. This is not part of the country there is no part of the country, rather, that is not the responsibility of the national government. The national government of our country has responsibility over the entire country. There is no citizen whom the national government is not required to serve or to support or to empower. It is therefore important that all 3 spheres of government work together on decision-making and coordinate budgets, policies, and activities, particularly for those functions that cut across all these spheres. The Departments of Public Works and Cooperative Governance have institutionalized the implementation of the expanded Public Works Program and Community Works Program across all the 3 spheres of government. These programs are institutionalized through protocol agreements that are signed between national governments and the relevant implementing bodies. The cities of Johannesburg, Tshwane, and Nelson Mandela Bay have all signed these protocol agreements and have each set targets for expanded public works as well as community work programs. We expect that these protocols that have been properly signed and entered into will be respected and they will be sustained going forward. Our people will still expect high levels of service delivery, whoever is in office. They expect effective administration, transparent government, and a government that is accountable. In addition to cooperation between the 3 spheres of government, communities have ways to ensure that these metros sustain a focus on poverty alleviation and public employment programs. Residents can interact with their municipalities through the integrated development planning processes and consultations, through petitions, questions to council, and participation in ward committees as well. We encourage communities to use these mechanisms to hold elected public officials to account. As the presidency, we will continue to use structures such as the President's Coordinating Council, the PCC as we call it, as well as Cabinet Makgotla to improve intergovernmental coordination and oversee the implementation of national priorities such as the EPWP and community work programs, as well as the various anti-poverty programs that have been set up. So, Mpepeto, lama program lawa iwona afunekayo kuzo zonke idorobha ngoba abantu bakithi bathembele wona lama program and bawabonile esebenza. Iwona lama program azoyenza ukuthi siqoshe indlala. Lama program ulabo abeke baparticipate kuwo bathole ukuthi namanje basathola ukuthi asebenza kahle impela. Sithemba ukuthi bonke lama metro no masipala laba bazawuqhubeka nalama EPWP program noma awela kweyiphi party noma awela kweyiphi ngoba kunesivumelwano ezasayinwa i-protocols. Protocol le ithi imali izawuphuma kuhulumeni ku-national iyofikela phansi le ukuthi lama program aqhubekele phambili. So ngokuphendula umbuzo wakho ke Phephetwa, sithemba ukuthi lama program azawuqhubeka impela ngoba yiwo afunekayo. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Nzimande.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Council Chairperson. Giphinde ngibingelele ngithi nemacheroni sekela mongameli. Lemasiyare.
Nah.
Useshayile u3 kodwa ke.
So
Sekushaya u4. But sekela mongameli ngiyafisa ukuthola experience yokusebenza kwaHulumeni omkhulu kulezi zindawo ebese zivele zingekho ngaphansi kokuphathwa ubuholo lwenhlangano enkulu yakakhongolose ukuthi nisebenze kanjani nalezi inhlaka zinisize kanjani ukuthi nikwazi ukubambisana. Ngibala nje indawo ezifana no Cape Town o Western Cape o Mid Valley nakulezo ndawo ke sithole nje ukuthi ukusebenzisana kuhle kanjani ukuze ithemba lethu liqine ngempela ekutheni kuyoba khona ukusebenzisana nanokuthi abantu bethu kuyoqhubeka ukuthi bathole imfuno njengalendlela njengohulumeni omkhulu eniyobe ni ebesivele senza ngayo nesivele esizimisele ukusebenza ngayo. Ngiyabonga sekela mongameli.
Thank you, sir. Deputy President.
ngiyabonga Mphephetwa. Uyibeka kahle impela ngoba ubuza ukuthi lapha Cape Town nase Western Cape siqhubha kanjani nasendaweni ezifana no Mid Valley. Ngasho eqinisweni ukuthi lama program eEPWP akhona nalapha eWestern Cape. Nabo bayawaqhubha ngendlela yabo kodwa into ekhona nje ukuthi bayawaqhubha. They do have EPWP programs because the EPWP program is a national initiative that has proven over and over again that it can be a good response at times of slow economic growth. And it is a historical initiative. You could say, yes, it was designed in various other countries, but we as South Africans have perfected the Public Works Program initiative. Many countries around the world come to this country to learn how we have perfected the Public Works Program because they find that the way we are implementing public works is an excellent way of responding to situations where there is slow economic growth and low job creation, because this becomes an initiative where people are trained to get into various crafts and skills, and where they are prepared for the world of work. And this has been so to a point where we've had millions of South Africans who have participated in these programs, and the majority of them will record that they have benefited. So, Perpetua, siyaqhuba, sifuna ukuthi siqhube siye phambili nalama program, nalapho ikongolosi ingaphathanga khona. Ngoba nalapha eWestern Cape la ikongolosi ingaphathanga khona, ayaqhubeka lama program. And aqhuba kahle futhi. I-initiative kaKongolose at the national level bayawasebenzisa nawo, bathola ukuthi they are a good response. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Khaila.
Honorable Chairperson, uphanze wandichana apha kulo mbuzo, kodwa ke ndiyolungiselela. Uphanze wandichana kulo mbuzo, kodwa ke ndiye ndazama ulungiselela. Past allegations and counter-accusation are that punitive approach has been used where there are change of leadership, and such stance has and will have a negative effect on our economy and transformation agenda, whereby projects from national and the province are implemented without involvement of leaders of such municipalities that are not governed by the ruling party. Now, the question is, Honorable Deputy President, would you please take the nation into your confidence that both the national and provincial government will not act punitively towards Tswana, Johannesburg, and Nelson Mandela Bay, given the change of leadership or regime in these metropolitan municipalities in our economy? Willem Mhlekazi.
Phinda
Imbuzo lona.
lesigaba sokugqibezela.
But I am saying, would you take the nation in your confidence that both the national and provincial government will not act punitively towards Tswana, Johannesburg, and Nelson Mandela Metro, given the change of leadership or regime in these metropolitan municipalities?
Thank you. Ndivile Mhlekazi.
Thank you, sir. Deputy President.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much. I apologize for responding before you gave me permission. I did say in my initial input that what we stand for is implementing cooperative governance. Cooperative governance means that all spheres of government, the three spheres of government, must work well together. That is inscribed in our Constitution. It is in the spirit of the Constitution that we should ensure that there is harmony in the workings of government. Now, that is something that we are prepared to advance and take forward. National government is there for the people of South Africa as a whole. National government takes care of all our citizens. A good example is the national government, the ANC government rather, is not in power in the Western Cape, nor is it in power in Cape Town. But it has always made sure that national government and the Western Cape provincial government and the Cape Town metro government works very well in unison and in a harmonious way. I can say to you without any doubt that the ANC-led government is not a punitive government. We are not petty. We are not so small as to want to be punitive against our own people. Because if we were to do so, we would be taking action against our very own people. And we look at South Africans, wherever they are, as being part of our people as a whole. And whether they voted DA, whether they voted EFF, whether they voted whatever party, they remain the people of South Africa who must be served by government. So on that issue, I can give you assurance without any doubt whatsoever that we remain firm as the national government, that we are here to serve all the people of South Africa. And we do this based on principle, based on principle of the Freedom Charter, that South Africa belongs to all the people who live in it, and therefore the government that we lead is there for all the people of South Africa, and they are our people as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Mokweli.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Ramaphosa. It is
Honorable
incorrect.
Mokweli, order. Honorable Mokweli. The Honorable Deputy President is a member of Parliament. He is honorable in this House.
Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, Deputy President of the ANC. It is incorrect to say metros were witnessing implementation and improvement of pro-poor projects. Take Johannesburg for an example. People that are living in Alexander, Diepsloot, and other townships continue to live in abject poverty. But the city was spending all the money to ensure that people in Sandton and suburbs continue to get the best services that are roads and maintained regularly, and there is always water where the reach is. The question that I'm posing to you, Deputy President of the ANC, is that national government, what is national government going to do to ensure the provincial government do not withhold support and resources to the metros where the ANC does not govern? This question I'm posing to you is because of the experience that we know, that when the ANC is not governing the municipality, the provincial government will get into that municipality and impose Section 1391B for them to have the access to the control of that municipality. So I'm asking you, besides the Epawena Popai projects that you are instilling to our people that are not effective, that doesn't contribute to any development of poor people, what are you going to do with that?
Thank you, ma'am. Your time has also expired. Deputy President.
Honorable Chair, I have said this on 2 occasions, I'll say it again, that the ANC-led government, 1, is not punitive, 2, it's not petty, and it's not sectional. It is very inclusive, and it seeks to act in the interest of all our people. Provincial governments get their equitable share of the budget from the national government. If you look at our budget and how our budget is structured, Honorable Member, you will find that there is a structure that ensures that provinces do get their equitable share. And we have a financial commission as well that ensures that monies that should go to our provinces do get to our provinces. You know that. So hence I ask what is the real import of the question, because if we know that, and we know that we live in a constitutional state, we will also know that what the honorable member is saying is not something that could happen, because provinces do get their fair share, and the national government will never be able to hold back what provinces should get. And in the end, it's all based on cooperative governance. Cooperative governance is written all over our Constitution, and it is something that we want to inculcate in the minds of leaders, particularly leaders who are here, like you, Honorable Member. You should know that cooperative governance is not just a pipe dream, it is something that we want to see working in effect, so that all of us should be assured that living in a constitutional state means that we're not open to the whims and the likes of individuals. Everything happens as it should happen in terms of our Constitution. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, sir. The Akbar Hatam. Oh, it's the Honorable Mpambo Shibukwan.
Thank you, Kakulu, Honorable Chairperson. To you, Honorable Deputy President, please tell us, the constant deprecation of reality from the ANC is such a pity. I know you know that. Deputy President, the DA-run municipalities are already making progress. We would like to know from you, e.g., in Herman, Mashaba is making, please protect me, Honorable Chairperson.
You are protected.
Is making housing waiting list a progress and is available to public in 3 months. Deputy President, Mukhale City, Tshwane and Nelson Mandela Bay are already moving towards ending corruption and are becoming more transparent every day. The luxury cars, the unnecessary expenses is a thing of the past where the DA governs. It is a proven fact that we govern better than the ANC, and I would like to know from you, Honorable Deputy President, has the government considered ways of ensuring that all other municipalities in South Africa are delivering better services and root out corruption in its lowest degree, stop luxury car purchases and unnecessary expenses on parties and their like in a concerted manner? It certainly didn't happen in most municipalities in the past. What are you ensuring and committing to us regarding this? Thank you, Honorable Deputy.
Honorable Mpambo Shibukwan. Your question is actually a new question, which deals with rooting out corruption in the municipality. The principal question and the subsequent supplementaries deal with the change in leadership and the relationship towards service delivery between the national and the municipalities. I am, however, Deputy President, going to leave it up to you to deal whether or not you want to deal with it, but it is a new question.
Honorable Chair, what I am able to say is that the ANC-led government at national, provincial, and at local government level is committed to deal with corruption, to root corruption out, and to make sure that those who are corrupt and abuse state funds and resources are brought to book without any doubt whatsoever. That I'm able to say, and we have been on a journey of improving our governance, and this will continue to improve on an ongoing basis, and we have also seen it in the outcomes of the Auditor General's reporting, where he has reported that things are getting better and better in terms of the finances of our local government structures. We are on a journey moving towards perfection, moving towards good governance, and that is something that one can testify to. Where we will find corruption, where we will find untoward behavior, we will deal with it effectively to make sure that we root out corruption from the face of South African body politic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. We move on, Deputy President, to question number 10. It was posed by the Honorable Mukweli.
Honorable Chair, in the President's State of the Nation address on the 17th of June 2014, just over 2 years ago, President Zuma called on the NEDLEC partners under the leadership of the Deputy President to establish a process to address wage inequality and protracted and violent strikes. In other words, to look at labor stability in our country. Structured work on a national minimum wage began following the NEDLEC labor relations in Durban in November of 2014. This summit tasked a committee of principals, people who are principals, who came from government, from business, from labor, and communities. And these are all the leaders of these four entities. They were meant to determine the modalities of a national minimum wage and measures that can be taken to stabilize labor relations. Negotiations on a national minimum wage have been taking place within a technical task team that was set up to look at the whole issue of a national minimum wage in a very, very introspective way. And the social partners have come up with a number of proposals that will lead us to arriving at a national minimum wage. In addition to discussions on the level at which a wage should be set, the technical task team has been considering issues such as, should there be workers who should be excluded from a minimum wage that will be set up? They've also been looking at, should there be exemptions from the national minimum wage? They've also been looking at the relationship between a future national minimum wage and existing sectoral wage determinations. As members might know, that there are a number of wage determinations that affect a number of workers in our country. For example, domestic workers' wages are governed by a wage determination. Agricultural workers are governed, wages that is, are governed by a wage determination. So the task team has been looking at all this to see how best all these different approaches can be reconciled. While progress has been made on several issues of principle, there are a number of matters on which the social partners have not yet reached agreement. They have, however, reached a number of agreements on various matters of principle. To encourage progress in these negotiations, I have recently appointed, in consultation with the Committee of Principals, a 7-person panel to advise on the appropriate level at which the national minimum wage could be set. This advisory panel is made up of really outstanding people with great knowledge. Somebody from the International Labour Organization, a number of professionals and academics from universities, a number of professionals who are well versed on labor matters as well as on economic matters. So they are, as a panel, in the process of reviewing all available research into the socio-economic potential of a national minimum wage being set up, as well as They are also considering international experience. They have given themselves time to look at what other countries have done. They've looked at Brazil, they've looked at Malaysia, they've looked at Germany, the United Kingdom, and a number of other countries. So the panel is expected to report back to me and the Committee of Principals towards the end of next month. This is vitally important work because we need to ensure that the national minimum wage makes a meaningful difference in the lives of the working poor and in their communities. At the same time, we need to ensure that the national minimum wage does not undermine our efforts to grow the economy and to create jobs on a big scale. As a country, we are keen to have a national minimum wage in place as soon as possible. All the parties that are involved in this process want it as soon as possible. The good thing is that they are the people who are sitting at the table. They are the people who are sitting around the table crafting this minimum wage. None has left the table. They are all still there, and we are looking at the most effective way of implementing a national minimum wage. Agreement has been reached that, yes, we shall have a national minimum wage, and the time when a national minimum wage will be announced will be the time when agreement has finally been reached. We will not be able to announce a national minimum wage before an agreement is reached. Much as people may want us to announce something that has not yet been agreed, it has to wait for an agreement. That is the best way of handling things. You don't announce what you don't know. You only announce what has been agreed to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Mukweli.
Thank you, Chairperson. It's clear that Deputy President don't know as government implementing minimum wage. Deputy President of the ANC, we have been in this engagement for too long, and we know very well that this cannot be postponed
Honorable
forever.
Mukweli, please take your seat. There's a point of order, Honorable Mutimunye.
You know, Honorable Chair, Honorable Mukweli consistently addresses the Deputy President as in his capacity as the Deputy President of the ANC. And his presence here is that of a Deputy President of the country. I think Honorable Mukweli is out of order here.
Yes. Deputy President.
The delay tactics by business and Deputy President is not...
Please continue.
Okay. It's not going to help anyone. Every time we get an opportunity to ask you, Deputy President of the ANC, a question,
okay.
We are
Honorable
not
Mukweli.
getting anything substantial.
Honorable Mukweli.
Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Okay,
Instead,
I was
Mr.
going to
Ramaphosa-
invite you to tell us whether there is any reason you do not recognize the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa as such.
Instead, Deputy President Ramaphosa bragged about the new condom, how comfortable they are, and that they don't make noise, as if he has tested them somewhere.
Honorable
It
Mukweli,
is clear that
you are now completely deviating from the main question you put to the Deputy President, and it is on the implementation of the minimum wage.
I'm going
I am addressing you. You are allocated 2 minutes to make your question. That 2 minutes you can use to preamble, to preface your question, but your question, your supplementary, is made on the principal question you have put Please stick to your question.
I'm sticking to it, Chair.
Your principal question has
Yes,
nothing
I'm
to do
saying
with
that
condoms.
The Deputy President is busy breaking with condoms instead of him.
Honorable
giving us-
Mukweli, your principal question has nothing to do with condoms. You will stick to a supplementary question which has everything to do with the response elicited from the response of the Deputy President on the minimum wage. Your principal question. Please, you are out of order.
Okay, Chair, can I continue?
Please continue.
That statement is relevant to what I'm going to ask the Deputy President to stop bragging about condoms, rather put effort on making sure that the implementation of minimum wage is there and it's implemented on time. That is what I wanted to
That is your
to say.
question, ma'am.
Yeah, my question to you, Deputy President, is that please, can you make commitment? Can the Deputy President start making concrete commitment that will be beneficial to workers and tell us when can the workers expect decent and living national minimum wage? Don't say you don't know. And I expect you, Deputy President of the ANC and of the country, that please, you answered us, President, one intimidated.
No. Order. Honorable Mukweli, you invited that because you are supposed to address whoever is here through the chair.
But Chair, I'm very serious. Deputy President,
What did he
now,
do?
he's asking me my numbers.
Honorable Mukweli, please conclude your question. You are, of course, if it is true that he's asked you for your number, you are in a democratic country, you can say no to giving him your
No,
number.
I can't give
so
you my
conclude your
numbers.
question. Your question is,
when is he implementing? We are tired of him coming here every day, telling us about the network, telling us about the commission. Today he's telling us that he has appointed 7 people. Next year he's going to say those 7 people has...
You have put your
He
question.
must be able to tell us when is he going to implement, that's it. And I'm not going to give him my numbers, please.
Thank you very much. Deputy President, give me honorable members, order. Order, members. Order. Members, you put a question to a member of the executive. They respond to you. You conclude that, in fact, they don't know what they're talking about. I think we must take a rule. We've got a rule on when you think, what is the English word now? On anticipation. We do not have a rule on prejudgment. And what the Honorable Mukweli has done is to say, you actually don't know. When the response is, the processes are in place. Deputy President, please respond.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm happy to respond to Honorable Mukweli on all the issues that she has raised. And with your permission, I will touch on the first one about condoms. It is possible that she's treating this matter flippantly, very flippantly, and saying that I come here to talk about condoms. Yes, of course I do, because my responsibility, honorable member, is to make sure that we do spread the message about prevention of HIV/AIDS. That is what we are doing. We are doing precisely that. And I am very pleased we spoke about it here in this House, in this Parliament. Because it is about time that people like Honorable Mukwele gets the message that we are here to save lives. We are here to prevent a disease that is spreading in our country. And we want all our people,
Honorable
young
Deputy
people
President.
as well, to be aware that we have a pandemic underway.
Honorable Deputy President, give me a second. Honorable Mkweli, why are you on your feet?
I'm on a point of order, Chair.
What is your point of order?
Is that the Deputy President is misleading South Africa. I am very much concerned about HIV. My statement was not about the condoms and using or doing unprotected sex. My message is that President must also prioritize important issues like for our people to
You are
have
giving us
quality and develop. for
Honorable
our
member,
people.
what is your point of order?
The point of order is that the deputy president Aska misleader South Africa.
Thank you.
We are
Can I
that
address
is,
you
that
on
is
that?
why we are
No,
having.
ma'am. You
that
have
is why we
made
are
your
having one
point.
partners.
Please
He
take your
cannot
seat.
tell us that condom does not make noise
Please
if he
take
is
your
sleeping
seat.
with one person. He
Please
cannot
take your
do that.
seat. Honorable members, anytime members of this House, especially members of the EFF, are unable to deal with a debate, they rise, they say the speaker on the podium is misleading the House. Now, anytime you do that, you must be very careful. And I've said this before in this House, in this very chair. Because you stood up on a point of, when you started making your supplementary, I'm speaking to you, Honorable Mkweli. You said that the Deputy President bragged about condoms and did not prioritize the minimum wage. He starts responding to you on the importance of spreading the message on condoms. You then say he is now misleading the country. Let me tell you, you are out of order on that point of order. Proceed, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I will not continue wasting one's breath on this matter. Safe to say that I could never mislead the country on such an important matter about saving lives. It is important that our people should know about how we can all join hands, work together to prevent this pandemic spreading. As it is now, we're facing serious challenges in terms of how this pandemic is spreading, particularly amongst young girls and young women. And the message, therefore, has to be spread. And we will not hold back from spreading this message. And it is for that reason that I am saying I am rather glad that we raised it in this House so that the message can spread more broadly. When it comes to the minimum wage, the question that she asked, we have a number of social partners, trade unions, business, communities, and government, all working together to arrive at an agreement. It's not an agreement that is going to be crafted by me as Deputy President. It is an agreement that is going to be arrived at by all these social partners. All social partners, therefore, have the responsibility. And let me remind the honorable member that this is happening under the aegis of NEDLAC. NEDLAC, which is a legislative institution that we all have in this country that has enabled us to reach agreements on a number of matters. So this process continues under the guidance, under the participation, or rather with the participation of all these four partners working together to arrive at an agreement. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Essak.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you for the opportunity. Deputy President of South Africa, it's good to see you in the House. Welcome. Deputy President, the national minimum wage will go a long way in reducing the huge inequality that we're experiencing in South Africa, that is economically. We are at the same time, of course, experiencing very low economic growth, as you will well realize and understand. In this economic climate of low or almost absolute no growth in the economy, the worry is that business may reject the minimum wage because they cannot afford it. And this will, of course, lead to them reducing staff or even retrenching staff. So my question is, can you, Mr. Deputy President, explain in the midst of all these discussions what measures are in place to prevent the impact of business rejection in this economic climate, if the minimum wage and when the minimum wage is then implemented? I trust you've captured the question.
I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Deputy President.
Honorable Chair, one of the reasons why we set up, or rather I appointed the advisory panel, is precisely to address this type of challenge, because we do not want to set up a minimum wage that will be too high as to result in destroying jobs. But similarly, we do not want to set up a minimum wage that will be too low as not to have an impact on wage inequality. So we have to have a very delicate balance to see that we achieve both. It must be a meaningful minimum wage, but it must also not be a minimum wage that will have no impact. Brazil instituted a minimum wage, and soon thereafter, they were able to see inequality dropping. Now, one can go into long studies or research or debates about how that happened. What I think we are moving towards is to look at research, experiences from other countries, and see how best we can create a good balance that will give us an outcome that our economy can also absorb and live with. And clearly, this argument has been put forward by business. They are committed to having a national minimum wage. That has been agreed. And all we're dealing with are the modalities and the level. And right now, the advisory panel is looking at a number of proposals that have been put forward. And there are proposals on various levels. And I can tell you that with regards to levels, we think we are within the consensus building range. We're getting closer and closer, or rather the partners are getting closer and closer to one another, to have a minimum wage that will be broadly acceptable across the board. Of course, there will always be people who will argue differently, but I can give assurance that we are going to want to have a minimum wage that will not be debilitatingly negative for our country and destroy millions of jobs. But at the same time, we would also like to have a minimum wage that will have an impact and lift a number of our people out of poverty or inequality largely, and have an impact on the inequality and bring about a good semblance of wage equality of one measure or another. So we're doing it very, very carefully as we possibly can. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Engelbrecht.
Madam Chair, thank you. Mr. Deputy President, in 1996, there was a very interesting comment made in the Wall Street Journal. And the comment was that as no physicist can claim that water can run uphill, so can no self-respecting economist claim that an increase in wage will create an increase in employment. Now, this statement is very interesting, especially if we look at the statistics of the agricultural sector, because a year after the minimum wages were initiated or started, 150,000 jobs were lost in the industry, which equated to 17% of employment that was lost in the agricultural sector. Just your comments on that, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am. Deputy President?
Yes, Honorable Chair, thank you very much. We are aware that soon after the wage determination was published by the Minister, it led to quite a number of jobs being lost. And that situation came about because it came as a shock. Many employers had not anticipated it. They had not budgeted for it. And as it arrived, it shocked them into dumping or into retrenching workers. A number of those workers have now been re-employed. I don't know if your research tells you so, because our research tells us that a number of jobs that were lost have now been regained. And yes, much as there's still as there are still a number of workers who are out of employment, but they've shrunk to a minimum. Now, this came about, as I say, because of the shock, because it was very sudden. The process that we are involved in is going to be such that all employers will be aware that a minimum wage is coming, and they will rebalance themselves, they will rebudget, they will prepare themselves for the coming of a minimum wage. It's not going to be sudden. It's not just going to be imposed or dumped on them. It is going to be a process that they are fully aware of, and they will be able to, as they say in business, to price it in. They will be able to price in an increased wage, and they will be able to see the impact that it is likely to have on their businesses. So that gives me assurance that with that type of, if you like, careful approach to introducing a minimum wage, where there will be a clear time frame where businesses will be able to prepare themselves, we will not see a huge number of jobs being lost. But the other important thing, of course, is that the business community is involved in the talks themselves. And they represent a plethora of companies. They are sitting at the table, and as we negotiate, they keep checking with their own constituency. And of course, there will come a time when there is a little bit of tension in as far as the level is concerned, but it is something that will not come as a bolt from the sky or a big surprise for them. So I think we will be able to manage it as carefully as we possibly can. And there will be time frame for implementation. And if there are companies that will face either difficulties and so forth, there will be a mechanism through which they will come forward, give full details, and ask for an exemption for a while, and thereafter become part of the process. These are some of the things that are being negotiated. And I'm sure that the way in which we are approaching it is so positive and so practical as to be able to help businesses to accommodate and absorb an increased minimum wage. And it is also possible, by the way, that you will find that a majority of your businesses are already above the minimum wage. So that is something that could be a possibility. Remember, the farm workers' wages have been increased, the domestic workers' wages have been increased, and that already gives us an indication of how minimum wage will be absorbed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Wana.
Enkosi Sihlalo. Ndibhekisa kuwe ke Sekela Mongameli welizwe loMzantsi Afrika. Qala mandibulele lenxaxheba ngoba nasemakhaya bayibukela.
Ethele embhobheni.
Nasemakhaya bayibukela lenkqubo kunjalo nje ke iyabavuyisa. Umbuzo ke endicinga ba ndiza nawo othi ithini indlela enibonayo Mongameli ukuthi nizayigada njani osomashishini abakhulu kulento babazathi xa beyibona le minimum wage ibanika iprofit bathobe aba babathobele kule level kuba bezawuthi urhulumente uze nale minimum wage. Enkosi Mongameli wase South Africa.
Deputy President.
Le ndaba ye minimum wage izawenzwa ngendlela yokuthi it will be the absolute minimum that employers will not be allowed to pay below. But at the same time, we do not expect that those who are at a higher level of the minimum wage will have their wages brought down. Imivuzo yalaba abakhokhelwa phezulu kakhulu noma kancane so beyibuyiselwe phansi ilethe apha kule minimum wage ngoba xa benza njalo bazawuba benze into embi kakhulu ngoba kunemithetho ethi ungayehlisi umvuzo womuntu wehle ungathethanga naye. So andibona ukuthi noxa bengathetha nabasebenzi umsebenzi angavuma ukuthi umvuzo wakhe wehlele phansi. So I don't see that as something that will happen. And in any event, banemibutho yabo abaninzi abasebenzi. Imibutho yabo ama-union wabo sobe avume ukuthi imivuzo yamalungu wabo iyehliswe. So le nto ye-minimum wage akusiyona into esifana ukuthi siyoyike, fana ukuthi sijonge ukuthi izoba into enhle, izawukhuphula imivuzo yalaba abaphansi xa ifumana ukuthi abanye baphezulu bazawuqhubeka ke nemivuzo yabo ukuya phezulu ukuya phambili. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy President. We move on to question number 11. It was posed by the Honorable Faber.
Honorable Chair, government has not entered into a nuclear deal with any country. Government remains firmly committed to an open, fair, and transparent procurement process and to implement the program at a scale and pace that our country can afford. A request for proposals for a nuclear new program build of 9,600 megawatts will be released to the market during this financial year in line with the cabinet decision that was taken in December 2015. The Department of Energy is currently consulting with a number of stakeholders, relevant stakeholders for that matter, to finalize the documentation. Government is committed to implementing an appropriate energy mix comprised of fossil fuel, nuclear, renewables, gas, and hydro. This is to ensure security of electricity supply and ultimately to support our economy's growth. In pursuance of a suitable energy mix, government is determined that our investment in generation capacity should be evidence-based, it should also be sustainable, but it should also be affordable. As indicated by the Department of Energy in December 2015, any decision to proceed further with the nuclear build program will only take place after the request for proposal process has been completed and a final funding model has been developed. The documents to which the honourable member refers have been requested by applicants in a review application presently being opposed by the Minister of Energy and the President of the Republic of South Africa. And as this matter is the subject of ongoing litigation in the Western Cape High Court, it would not be appropriate to comment directly on the documents that have been requested. Now, in the end, in this type of situation, one has to rely on the rules of discovery, which will be applied in this regard. The courts have rules of discovery where you've got to present your documents after discovery has been asked for, and the court will make a decision, if needs be, on their disclosure. And this is about the best that one can say on this matter. The process, in the end, as I indicated, of procuring nuclear energy for our country has to be based on affordability, sustainability, and it is going to be very transparent so that everyone can be aware of what is being done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honourable Faber.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Deputy President, for that answer. Given that the integrated resource plan is crucial for the nuclear deal procurement process, in that it provides perimeters for energy allocation between different types of energy sources, why has the IRP been delayed for so long? And will Deputy President undertake to ensure that it is provided to respective select committee by the end of October this year?
Deputy President.
Honourable Chair, thank you very much. Clearly, the IRP is in the process of being finalized and crafted. I will not be able, standing here, to determine the date on which it will be available. I am absolutely certain as soon as that process is concluded, it will be made available to all and sundry, and indeed the Portfolio Committee will be able to deliberate on it as well. So right now, I'm not able to say whether it will be available by October or whatever other date. I'm sorry for being disappointing in as far as not giving the exact date. But it is out of my hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honourable Koni.
Thank you, Chairperson. Deputy President, did the National Treasury give advice to the Department of Energy, the President, yourself, and all structures involved in making the decision to proceed with the nuclear build program that South Africa does not have the money? If yes, why is South Africa proceeding to build nuclear? If no, can the country afford such financial commitment? Thank you.
Deputy President.
Honourable Chair, Treasury as an integral part of government is involved in this whole process, and in fact they play a critical role on the nuclear build program. And when I answered the question initially, I said the financial modeling is in the process of being put together, and this is where Treasury plays a key and critical role. So Treasury plays that type of role of modeling these types of programs financially, and in the end, they will be able to determine and to tell us the extent to which this type of program build-up is affordable. So they are going to, through their various expertise, are going to be able to do that for us. So that work is still underway. It is currently being done very, very carefully. I know, Honorable Member, you would like to know the date on which it is going to be done. I know it's something that you always focus your attention on. When is it going to happen? I have to disappoint you again and say that I am not able to tell you the exact date. On this issue, work is happening. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
I do not have any other hand for another supplementary, so we will move to the next question, Honorable Dr. Vauda.
Thank you very much, Chair. I greet all of you with Assalamu alaikum. Honorable Chair, the question I would like to ask the Deputy President, the Honorable Deputy President, is that when considering, if we are considering, and it seems that we are, but when considering a new nuclear deal for this country, that we must ensure that we will be utilizing the most recent technology that is going to be available to us. Can the Deputy President give us the assurances that this is going to be done? And if the Deputy President is also aware, and I'm not making this a double question, it's actually one, that the most recent technology that is available is associated with desalination of this, the seawater in a very big way, and that this could be utilized as a secondary massive project to create jobs in the country, whether the Deputy President is aware of this and whether the government, indeed those that are busy with the model, are they aware of it, and is anything going to be done in this direction? Thank you, Chair.
Deputy Speaker. I'm sorry. I made you a Deputy Chairperson and a Deputy Speaker. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I would like any of those jobs at any time. Could be much better. Honorable Chair, I'd like to thank Honorable Member for raising all those issues. That if indeed we do proceed, we should do everything that we can to use the most modern technology, and a technology that goes just beyond what is generally known and available, but begins to be so innovative as to be able to do the types of things that the Honorable Member is suggesting, to begin to get into desalination of seawater in a massive way, and that if we do go ahead, it should pay maximum benefit to the country, economically, energy-wise, and in every other conceivable way. So we will take that to heart, and I can say that clearly, because we are doing this in phases, we are doing this in stages and phases, that phase, when we do get to it, we will make sure that what the Honorable Member is suggesting will indeed become something that we take up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Deputy President, we are moving to question number 12. It was posed by the Honorable Mtimunye.
Honorable Chair, binational commissions and other structured bilateral mechanisms are critical to directing and managing bilateral political as well as economic relations between our country and its various international partners. In most BNCs, strategic guidance is provided by political principles on matters of mutual interest, while senior officials coordinate the technical implementation of whatever agreed activities have been arrived at. Bilateral instruments often provide for separate working groups that, amongst others, routinely do things such as assess the implementation of current areas of bilateral cooperation, identify future areas of bilateral cooperation, identify responsible entities to monitor progress and also to secure implementation. They also identify areas where there are challenges, where there are problems, as well as obstacles in implementing these bilateral agreements and programs, as well as finding ways of proposing solutions to whatever difficulties may have been encountered. As part of this participation in BNCs, our government, that is, conducts its own assessment. And this it does on a case-by-case basis of the state of bilateral relations and the progress in the implementation of agreements, as well as implementing these programs. A recent assessment that was conducted by DERCO in August concluded that the various binational commissions with other African countries contributed to the advancement of a number of national priorities. And members may know that we have reached a number, or entered into, or established rather, a number of binational commissions with a number of countries on our continent. These include resolving the energy challenge, encouraging investment in mineral beneficiation, the development of the ocean economy, and effective implementation of our industrial policy action plan, and also making sure that our national infrastructure development program moves forward. Our experience is that BNCs provide an important platform for structured expansion of political, trade, investment, and developmental relations with key partner countries. They have assisted, for example, in expanding the value of South Africa's trade with the rest of our continent. And this trade activity between us and a number of countries on our continent has moved from 11 billion rand in 1994 to a whooping and staggering 420 billion as of December 2015. And this has happened as a result of the relationships that we have crafted through binational commissions with a number of countries. Because through these commissions, we are able to engage various countries at close range, and in fact, we build partnerships that go beyond the ordinary, but partnerships that are meaningful, partnerships that are mutually beneficial to both ourselves and to those countries as well. Similarly, our trade with China, another significant partner with whom we have a binational commission, has soared over the past few years. China is now South Africa's #1 trading partner, with total trade at the end of 2015 reaching 294 billion rand. We have also used BNCs to effectively promote issues such as skills development, capacity building, and sharing of expertise. Sharing of expertise on a number of things. I was once in Sweden with the Minister of Water and Sanitation. It was a joy to see how our groups were huddled over negotiating tables just talking about water. And this was possible through the binational commission. And an example of this can be found in a number of other areas, also in the development of skills. We have been able, together with Sweden, to get scholarships for postgraduate study in a wide range of fields, including entrepreneurship, economics, law, international health, bioinformatics, engineering, but more importantly as well as marine training. Through these BNCs, Honorable Chair, and other bilateral mechanisms, South Africa's international relations policy continues to contribute significantly to the expansion of trade and investment, the development of the skills of our people, as well as the capabilities of many of our young people in our country. So these BNCs are real engines of growth, engines of extending our relationship with the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Mutimunye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Deputy President. Deputy President, you make reference in your response to periods in which the reporting is done in terms of the assessment of the BNCs. If you could share with us what are these periods or intervals at which the assessment is done, and can such be shared with the oversight mechanism of Parliament so as to enhance oversight?
Okay. Deputy President.
We've just done a major assessment to look at all the BNCs, and beyond this major assessment, we're going to want to look at them more periodically, possibly annually, because most of them meet at the very least twice a year. We reciprocate, once a year rather. We reciprocate. Sometimes we meet in South Africa, and other times we meet in the country that we have a BNC with. For example, the Chinese Vice President will be coming to South Africa. Together we will be involved in a BNC. The last time we went to China and Sweden, we did the same thing. So they will be coming here again. So it is reciprocated once a year. So I would say possibly the review process could be possibly annual. But in as far as reporting back for oversight purposes, I'm sure that we can be able to ensure that the reporting also gets to the Portfolio Committee. I'm quite happy and open to discussing this matter with my colleagues in the executive, especially the Minister of International Relations, to see the extent to which information can be shared at the very least, so that members of Parliament, indeed the NCOP as well, are able to have line of sight of how these relationships are working and the benefit that the people of South Africa are eking out of these relationships. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Makue.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. To the Deputy President, you have explained to us the binational, but also the bilateral. Now, I want to raise a question because what we find within the context of globalization is that all the more we have blocks of nations coming together in the establishment of relations. Now, we have recently had the experience with the Economic Partnership Agreement with the European Union, but also participating in the World Trade Organization, we get a sense that within the African continent, the 4 regions are beginning to consider working together as a region. Can you inform us more, please, Deputy President, what are the advantages for South Africa when we look at multilateral agreements rather than the bilateral agreements? And also then, secondly, indicate to us what the role of South Africa is, not only in terms of bilaterals with countries overseas, but maybe you could take 2 of the successful bilaterals that we have been engaged in on the African continent. Thank you, Chair.
Deputy President.
The the world that we live in has become a world where any country should seek to forge partnerships, and effective partnerships that will advance its own interests. And these partnerships can be crafted at a multilateral level, and we are fortunate that since the end of apartheid, we've been welcomed with open arms in various organizations, institutions, and formations globally, and we play a very key and important role. So at a multilateral level, South Africa derives a lot of benefit in being part of the global community, working together with others in cooperation and always seeking to advance the African agenda as well as our own agenda as a nation. So those are our two key primary objectives. We want to see Africa well positioned because we are Africa, we are part of Africa, and we also want to advance our own national interests. So this we do, as I said, multilaterally as well as bilaterally. Bilaterally, at a multilateral level, we've drawn a lot of benefits. Look at the role or the positioning that we now have in BRICS. We're the smallest of the 3 BRIC countries, but we are centrally positioned. And soon we are going to have a BRICS bank here, even as the smallest member of the BRICS family. And in a number of other multilateral organizations. Our president has just been to the G20, and we participate there. So at a multilateral level, we gain a lot of benefit. We also gain a lot of stature. As a small country of just 56 million people, we are hitting way above our weight. And that is good for us as South Africans. Quite often, as South Africans, we never realize how importantly we are regarded by the rest of the world. The world respects us, the world embraces us, and the world wants to do business with us. They want to deal with us in a plethora of ways. That we should be grateful for. So, and at a bilateral level, we draw a lot of benefit as well. Our relations, as I was saying, with a country like China, look what it has benefited us in, the way it has benefited us. A country which we traded with in small bits and pieces, we now derive almost 250 billion rand of trade with. The rest of the African continent, we used to do very little business with. Various countries, we now do a lot of business. Now, I cannot necessarily single one country in Africa and say this is the very best one. All of them are great partners of our country. You count them all, from the east right through to the west, from the south right through to the north. We have great relations with each of the countries that we have bilateral relations with. And our objective is to extend those relations. And it is for that reason that we have a presence in a number of African countries, because we hold the rest of the continent close to our hearts, because we are Africa, we are part of Africa. So through bilaterals, through multilaterals, we are able to extend our presence, and we are also able to extend our own influence, little as it might be, but derive enormous and huge benefit out of being part of the international community and being part of all these relationships. And we see them as partnerships. All these countries are our valued partners, whom we respect, and they also have a great deal of respect for us. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Nzimande.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, I would also like to hear the role of these relations in relation to the not just trade and economic activities, but also on issues of collaboration with efforts of fighting interstate corruption, issues of potential influence to governance, to clean and good governance, and improvement of democracies within and amongst the state. Thank you, Deputy Chairperson.
Thank you, sir. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Our relationships with the various countries span across a number of areas and disciplines. And we enjoy a lot of participation and acceptance in various structures on the African continent as well. A number of our South African colleagues through various institutions participate in African institutions that are aimed at advancing human rights, democracy, dealing with corruption, ensuring that there is good governance, and a whole number of areas. It could also be in education, culture, science and technology, and many other areas, including the judiciary. Our judges are linked to a number of African bodies and organizations where they meet with others. And all this are building blocks of how our international partnerships are crafted. That is the full architecture of our international relations, and they are all aimed at putting out there into the open who we are, our ethos as a nation, our values as a nation are propagated through the various institutions that we have in our country that have dealings with other nations beyond our borders, cutting across all these areas that I am talking about. So we are well positioned in as far as our relations are concerned. It's not only on trade and investment, it's not only on politics, it's right across the board. And that is what stands us in good stead, because everyone who participates in the various institutions carries the South African flag. They go out there and they exude the South African ethos, the South African values, and what our country is all about. So as various people, whoever they are, it could be even our IEC participates with other IECs on the continent, our judiciary, as I said, and a number of other bodies. As they do so, they are carrying our flag, they are carrying who we are as a people and as a nation. Proud nation of South Africans that we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. That was the last supplementary for the day and the last question. I wish to then take this opportunity to thank you once again, Deputy President, for coming through to the National Council of Provinces.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you.
Order, members. That concludes the business of the day. You are requested to remain standing until the procession has left the House. This House is adjourned.